Hello viewers, today for the initial checking out of, we have an AT&T 2.4 GHz cordless telephone. This is the E2116. It is a digital digitan spread spectrum cordless telephone. Here's a look at the box. I got it for $7.49 at the thrift store. It appears to be lightly used in the box. It has caller ID, call waiting, 2.4 GHz digital spread spectrum technology, handset speakerphone, enhanced sound clarity, privacy, and range, assuming it's not used in the presence of Wi-Fi. Lighted keypad and display, 30 name and number directory. There it is in the Spanish. And it really works this thing up to be quite a feat on the back of the box. Though really all these features are quite simple. You can pause the video at any time if you'd like to read these features. It has memory match, which that's a little bit ahead of the time, I suppose. But other than that, everything here is pretty basic. Nickel cadmium battery originally. I suspect this dates back to the early 2000s. 2.4 GHz was kind of a pretty short-lived frequency because it just had more problems than it solved. Really, 900 megahertz DSS was probably, no, I would say it was definitely the best frequency we ever saw for cordless telephones, because the 900 megahertz DSS really had no interference problems. The range was exceptional. It's a small enough frequency that you don't have to have a very large antenna to properly resonate it. The 2.4 tried to solve problems that the 900 megahertz really didn't have. Arguably the analog 900 megahertz had potential privacy issues because you could pick it up with a basic consumer grade scanner. It's kind of ironically now it's such an old frequency that hardly anybody is using it. Certainly I don't think there's anybody in the local area with a scanner hoping that he or she might just happen to pick up a call or somebody's doing banking and reads an account number or something like that. I suppose it might have been a little bit more of a concern back then when these were commonplace. I suppose there's also the chance that if your neighbor had a comparable telephone, he or she could pick up your conversation on that telephone, and then you'd have interference that way if you had analog sets. But again, with the digital, this was not a problem. Is there a copyright date on here? There is. And it's a lot later than I thought. The copyright date is 2005, and this is made by Advanced American Telephones. 2005 is pretty late for a 2.4. The spirit of communication was really 5.8 gigahertz by 2005. So maybe this was more of an economy model, then I don't know. Definitely sold late in the game. So here's the unit itself. The handset is kind of large, but handsets were still, that looks bad in the back. The handsets were still pretty large in the mid 2000s. Granted, my hands are pretty large, but that's what it looks like in the hand. It's fairly deep. I do have the belt click in the box. It takes a 3 AA cell battery, but I have a AAA cell just because I had the AAA cell with the correct plug on it, so I figured it'd be better to use this and just put the rubber band around it so it doesn't rattle around versus trying to jam something with the wrong plug in there. It has the older, or I guess it's not necessarily older, but the operating system I always associated with like the economy grade 5.8 GHz models. Same analog sounding beep. Nice ringer volume. Gets pretty loud. And it immediately closes out the menu as soon as you're done, which is kind of annoying because I wasn't done. It's the old analog sounding ringer. I'll go with number 3. It's got the date and time at the bottom. I was always kind of bothered by this date and time layout because when you have 10, 11, or 12 for the time, there's no separation, and so now we just have a mumbo jumbo of numbers down there, and it's very difficult to read, especially at a quick glance. This is an alphanumeric thing on the top, and it's only numerics on the bottom. See, it goes to kind of like a, it's not exactly a dot matrix, but it's more of a dot matrix display on the top, and it's a segment display on the bottom. So any of the words only are displayed on the top. And this flashes as we set it. I have no idea what the date is. We'll just say it's, oh, you can't even enter with the numbers. And see, I feel like this operating system is just really archaic. We're just going to set it to low numbers for the sake of simplicity. See, now with a single digit hour, it's much easier to read. And speaking of easy to read, this display definitely leaves something to be desired in terms of contrast. It's good if you hold it at a certain angle like this, but the text is very small. If you're looking at it from above, forget it. And the only way to get the backlighting to come on is if you type something, and then the date and time goes away. So if you're in a dim environment, you just can't see the date and time. I don't know why pushing N doesn't trigger the backlight. Connects pretty fast. So it's very basic old operating system, basic ringer selection, very few features. But if it talks good, then it's a perfectly good phone. That's good and loud. And these displays, for the most part, seem to be pretty reliable. I have not seen any instances I can recall where those displays go bad. There's the AT&T logo, or the AT&T high stop. It will alert you of voicemails on your telephone line, but there's no answering machine in the telephone itself. And there's the informations. Actually, there really isn't much information. Oh, there's the information. It's there. It's the 9 volts at 300 milliamps. And it does have the headset jack as well. Standard 2.5 millimeter headset, the jack. Looks like it fell once or twice, a couple of scratches on the back, but otherwise it's in pretty good condition. The backlighting is okay. We'll take a look at that when we go outside. Alright, let's make some calls here. We'll go to the main line. Still have not cleaned the switcher, so we might get some static in there. Sounds pretty good. Oh, we'll do the pre-dial since that's one of the advertised features. It dials really quickly, good response to the buttons. It keeps up as quick as I can press them. Okay. Well, I guess that gives us a chance to try the redial. It has a channel button, which is kind of interesting because DSS, if you understand how it works, doesn't really have a single channel. Why is this not working anymore? Is this malfunctioning? It doesn't seem to have the tones if you're just dialing with it on. That's kind of weird.
Jones Family Farms and Winery with an updated message for Wednesday, August 6th. First, we'll update you on our awesome blueberry harvest and then the winery's fine offerings. Our beautiful blueberry fields are open on Wednesday, August 6th. Enter from 8:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. You can continue picking until 1. And we'll be at our Pumpkin Seed Hill Farm location. That's over at 120 Beardsley Road. Please take note, we have 4 farm locations, and our berry field locations are separate from the Homestead Farm where the winery is located. So 120 Beardsley Hill Road for the Pumpkin Seed Hill Farm. We have delicious blueberries and lovely weather conditions to enjoy your farm at the time. Our blueberry season will be ending very soon.
You probably should have said to enjoy your time at the farm. Starting to sound like me. That is an excellent speakerphone. As a lot of these AT&T and Vtech telephones were from this era, the speakerphone is truly fantastic. This, I think, is the era where quality intersected with the advancement of the technology, where we could pack a good speakerphone into a small handset, but it wasn't a matter of let's build this so cheap that the performance starts to suffer.
Or go to the winery. The winery's tasting room is open.
This is not releasing the line properly.
Inside or sit outside on the shaded patio with our pavilion. Our websites are the best resource to learn about all of our offers.
That's an odd problem to have. This is not releasing the line.
If you do need to reach us, email is preferred via farmer@.
Well, this is the busted. It doesn't seem to release the line. Well, that's unfortunate. I mean, we can still proceed with, we'll check the range and so forth, but that's a shame. This doesn't work. I don't hear a relay clicking in this. I don't know if this uses a relay or it's all electronic. Well, let's go outside and check the range. camera right stuck on the
Hello,
tripod.
welcome to Daily Bible Readings provided by Daily Word.
Oh, this is not
There is
good.
a
I
central
can't get it
theme
off the
throughout these
tripod.
readings today. It is the theme of healing. This reading today of these passages have been requested. We'll be reading from the New King James Version of the Bible. Here now as I begin reading from 1 Kings chapter 17. Now it happened after those things that the son of the woman who owned the
I
house
can't
became
get this off the
sick,
tripod.
and his sickness was so serious that there was no breath left in him. So she said to Elijah, "What have I to do with you, O man of God? Have you come to me to bring my sin to remembrance and kill my son?" And he said to her, "Give me your son." So he took him out of her arms and carried him to the upper room where he was staying and laid him on his own bed. Then he cried out to the Lord and said, "O Lord my God, have you also brought tragedy on the widow with whom I lodge by killing her son?" And he stretched himself out on the child, cried out to the Lord and said, "O Lord my God, I pray." In reading from 1 Kings chapter 17. Now it happened after those things that the son of the woman who owned the house became sick, and his sickness was so serious that there was no breath left in him. So she said to Elijah, "What have I to do with you, O man of God? Have you come to me to bring my sin to remembrance and kill my son?" And he said to her, "Give me your son." So he took him out of her arms and carried him to the upper room where he was staying and laid him on his own bed. Then he cried out to the Lord and said, "O Lord my God, have you also brought tragedy on the widow with whom I lodge by killing her son?" And he stretched himself out on the child 3 times and cried out to the Lord and said, "O Lord my God, I pray, let this child's soul come here." And the Lord heard the voice of Elijah. The soul of the child came back to him and he revived. The child brought him down from the upper room into the house and gave him to his mother. Elijah said, "See, your son lives." But the woman said to Elijah, "Now by this I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in your mouth is the truth." Now that was appeared by one of God's prophets in the Old Testament. We can move to 5th passage against verse 17. Now it happened a certain day that Jesus was teaching, that there were Pharisees and teachers of the law that come out of every town of Galilee, and Judea, and Jerusalem. And the promise of the Lord was present to heal them. Then behold, men brought him a bed, and who was paralyzed, and they sought to bring him in and lay before Jesus. And they did not find how they might bring him in from among the crowd. They went up on the housetop, and let him down with his bed through the tiling to the midst before Jesus. When he saw their faith, he said to them, "Man, your sins are forgiven you." The scribes and the Pharisees and the religious saying, "Look, this is blasphemy. You can forgive sins, but not those sins. So when Jesus perceived their thoughts, he answered and said to them, "What have you reasoned in your heart? Which of the things is this forgiven? Or does the crime not be false? But the human government, the Son of Man, is come on earth to forgive sins." He said to them, "You paralyzed. The man took up your bed and go to your house." Immediately the sickness appointed their life and departed themselves out, one by one. They were all asleep. The Lord was speaking with Jesus and making today. Now we read from Acts, the 3rd chapter. How the disciples healed all seven.
Oh, the range is really good on this.
Leaping, praising God. All the people saw him and praising God. And they knew that it was he who sat begging alms at the beautiful gate of the temple. And they were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened to him. Down with us now as we pray together. Dear God, our Father, we look at the healing. We see, dear God, that you've been the God of healing from the beginning of time. In the Old Testament, your prophet spoke and gave himself, and healing came, dear Father, through you.
Backlighting is decent. The numbers is pretty good. The display is, it's okay. It's visible, but it's not the greatest. I'm not sure that this is actually DSS. It seemed to have a lot of static in there. Now the range was certainly as good as a DSS would be, but why it has all that static? You don't normally get all that static on digital. Well, I'd say we can hang up, but there's no point. I don't know why this keeps getting stuck on this camera keeps getting stuck on the tripod for some reason. Try to just put it a little bit more gently this time. Alright, so the range is really good. I walked about 2 houses down, which is way further than we usually go during the test. And there was a lot of static, but the audio was still perfectly clear, so I don't know what was up with that. I wonder if this is, no, this is too loose. I wonder if this has a 900 megahertz return on it, or if it's 2.4 both ways. See if this has the manual. I don't recall if it did or not. I guess I'll just have to unplug it now. Yeah, it's just not releasing the line. Oh, it does. I might be able to see if it lists the frequency in here. Oh gee, that's a shame that this doesn't work, because the range is really, seems like it's pretty good. There should be a specifications on here somewhere. Technical specifications, page 42. Just for the sake of it, let's look at the troubleshooting. I doubt that it will happen to have this issue on there. No, it doesn't say anything like that. I didn't think that it would. That's a very oddly specific problem. Ah, here we go. My speculation was correct. It's a 2.4 over 900, so it uses 2.4 gigahertz, specifically 2400.9 megahertz to 2405.1 megahertz to go from the base to the handset, but then it uses 921.4 megahertz through 927.2 megahertz to go from the handset back to the base. And this was done in an effort to extend the battery life on the handset, though quite frankly I suspect most people would have been happy with half the talk time, assuming that it was an actual 2.4 gigahertz both ways phone. This was particularly an issue with 5.8 phones, because a lot of 5.8 gigahertz phones did something similar where it would be 5.8 gigahertz from the handset, or from the base to the handset, but then from the handset back to the base it was 2.4, which resulted in all the same interference issues as a regular 2.4 gigahertz phone, such as this. So since it's like that, it's very possible that that static we were hearing could have just been clicks and pops of the 900 megahertz band breaking up, because this does not have the appropriate antennas. But so I'll have to go outside and record a message with it, so we can hear what the return is like. It's very likely that the return is not going to have a good reception as the what do you call it, 2.4 receive does. So I guess that this just immediately grabs the line. Is it? Yeah, the line's already in use here. That's ridiculous. I'll try and unplug this and put it back in. I don't think it's going to solve anything. It's just like permanently connected to the line. Even with the base power disconnected, it still is grabbing the line. That's mighty peculiar. Yep, it grabs the line immediately. Is there something wrong with the plug? Get a magnifying glass. Actually, no, I'll look with the camera. Is there something in between those two plugs, those two wires shorting it together? I wouldn't think that would cause this operation, but let's see. No, that's just some divot in the plastic or something behind it. There's got to be something wrong with the... I would think that wouldn't work if there was something shorting it out. No, it's still grabbing the line. That's unfortunate. Seems like an otherwise good telephone. Well, let's record some testing messages. Won't be able to hang up, but is what it is. Hey Frank, it's Bill. Did you get my message about the box fan? It's 11 o'clock at night over here. It's very, very hot, and I really need to borrow a fan. Call me to my home phone. It didn't hang up. Hang up. Hang up! It still didn't hang up.
6 old messages. Message 1.
Here's the first testing message in which I cannot hang up. We'll check the speakerphone pickup. I just switched it to speakerphone now, speaking at about the same volume and distance as I was previously without talk.
Message 2.
It seemed to cut off very quickly. I guess the speakerphone stinks. It seemed to cut off at about 2 feet away.
Message 3.
Hey Frank, it's Bill. I was wondering if I could borrow a box fan tonight because my air conditioner broke. And it's full of mold because it's a Medea. Or, oh wait, it's just full of mold because air conditioners get full of mold in general. Okay, call me to my home phone and let me know. It's really hot over here. I wish I had a box fan to put in the window. You can call me to my home phone, 555-1234. Why didn't it hang up? Hello, hang up. Hang up.
Message 4.
This phone doesn't hang up.
Message 5.
Hey Frank, it's Bill. Did you get my message about the box fan? It's 11 o'clock at night over here. It's very, very hot, and I really need to borrow a fan. Call me to my home phone. Just hang up. Hang up. Hang up!
Message 6.
Well, I guess the speakerphone is trash on this. At least the pickup is anyways, which is very out of the ordinary for these units. So I can hear some, like, kind of clicks and pops, crackling type noises in the background. It's faint, but it's audible enough to be kind of distracting. And I'm also hearing some static now. I just rounded the corner of the deck. At this point, the whole house is in between myself and the base. This really sounds like analog. That's totally analog static. I wonder if it's only 2.4 DSS from the handset to the base, or I mean from the base to the handset, and it's just analog 900 from the handset back to the base. I'm going to change the channel. Now I hear static on the 2.4. Now this is awful. Lots of crackling on the 2.4. Some buzzing noises. I'm past the edge of the property now. I'm going down the street. And for whatever it's worth, although there's a lot of background noise, it is holding the call for quite a bit longer than a lot of other models I've used. I'm going to go as far down as I can until it gets really bad. It sounds like it's going to get really bad. I'll turn around here. It's definitely got a lot of static on there now. I can hear the digital pops and clicks of the 2.4, and I can hear the pure analog static of the 900. I'm going to guess it's only 2.4 DSS from the base to the handset, and then it's analog 900 from the handset back to the base. And that's worse than usual. At least a lot of the other dual band phones I've used, they're at least digital or analog or whatever it claims to be on both sides of the transmission, even if there's a discrepancy in the frequency. So this is really abysmal for it to actually be basic analog 900 on the return. And so that, if that's really what this is, which is what it sounds like, this has all the same problems as the old school 900 megahertz analog phones that this model was supposed to solve. I am losing respect for this model the more and more I use it. Maybe it's not as much of a disappointment after all that it doesn't work properly, because I guess it's not all that good. I like the phone, but from a technical standpoint, there's nothing to write home about. Range is pretty good though, but it's got a lot of background noise once you get away from the. You get a couple of walls in between it. It's good. Like what am I trying to say? It holds the call for.
End of messages.
Very interesting results from those testing messages. A couple of things to note. The speakerphone is atrocious, the pickup is atrocious, which is not typical. This era of AT&T and Vtech stuff usually had very good speakerphones. And I don't think that the microphone is spoiling, because it sounds perfectly fine on regular phone or talk mode. I think it's called a phone mode. So I don't think it's a hardware failure. It seems like a software failure. That's very disappointing. The range is interesting. So I'm pretty convinced that this is 2.4 gigahertz DSS as advertised on the base here, only from the base to the handset, and the transmission from the handset back to the base seems to be a basic analog 900 megahertz, and that's probably what changes with the channel button. I actually think that the 900 megahertz return had a better range than the 2.4. I had walked down about 2 houses down. I got in front of the second house down, which is pretty far considering that the handset is here in the basement, which is below ground level. So it's transmitting through a lot of earth to get to where I was. And usually even good phones will start to clip out at the edge of the property, and this went way past that. I noticed a lot more, oh, there's a gnat in here. I noticed a lot more sounds, distortion sounds from the 2.4 gigahertz DSS, which was being transmitted to me, than I heard in terms of static on the return being transmitted back to the testing entry machine. So if this phone was just a basic good old 900 megahertz analog phone, I actually think it probably would work better. Now, I'm sure all the neighbors here have stupid Wi-Fi, so that could have been hosing it as well. That's a possibility. But yeah, very interesting performance. It was strong, but had a lot of background noise. So, a lot of disappointment here. Disappointment in the advertising. There's very false advertising. Disappointment in the performance of the speakerphone, and disappointment in the fact that it's busted. But after hearing how the speakerphone works, I guess it's not that much of a disappointment that it's busted, because it wouldn't work that well anyways.